So, tomorrow will mark exactly 6 months since I injured and completely tore my ACL. I realized doing monthly videos just wasn't realistic. I think at the beginning of my injury, you're making so many improvements. But as you continue to progress throughout your injury, things start to kind of slow down. You don't see as much gains as you do initially when you were injured because a lot of healing is happening in the beginning. And as you start to strengthen and move and test your body a little bit more, I noticed that my progress just wasn't as fast. So I would probably check in every 3 months or so, depending on how I feel. But I thought 6 months is quite a significant milestone since my injury. That's half a year that has passed, which is why you haven't heard from me for 2 months, because I was like, I don't know if anything's changed. But at this mark, I think a 6 month mark is such a milestone, and I have things to update you on. And so feel free to stick around. If you're here in this video, you probably torn your ACL as well. So I highly suggest you watch all the other ones that I posted before this one, and hope you're doing well. It's mentally and physically a very tough injury to go through, but I am starting to have a little more trust in my body. Okay, well, a few things already just this last 2 weeks. Milestones that I have surpassed is I started playing some casual sports again. I went to my first drop in volleyball. I was extremely sore in my fingers and my arms after playing volleyball because it's been over 6 months since I've played now. And those muscles have not been working. I've been focusing so much on my lower body, man, my upper body was extremely sore, especially my fingers, like doing the volleys. It's been a while since I've had to do that and use my fingers. And so those muscles are still quite sore. I'm slowly going to ease back into playing sports, which is so amazing. It's nice to be able to do things outside of rehab because at this point, if you made it to, your 6 month point in your injury, I don't know about you, but for me, I'm starting to feel a little bit of rehab fatigue. I'm not as motivated as I am compared to the first 3 months of my injury. And my physio asked me like, hey, what are your goals at the gym besides rehab? And he asked me that, and I was like, man, honestly, rehab has been my entire life in the last 6 months. And I'm like, what are my other goals at the gym besides rehab? I just go to the gym for rehab. So that made me really think about trying to incorporate and find ways to start having fun again with my body. And fun could mean a lot of different things for different people. But a few of the goals that I'm trying to come up with are like, okay, I would love to be able to do a pull-up again, or I'm working towards my 5-kilometer run in the end of October. I'm just trying to think less about rehab, although rehab is still going to be a part of my life, and I'm going to continue doing exercises that prime me to do the sports and the lifestyle that I want. But I don't want to just think about rehab. We need breaks from rehab sometimes too. I think that's quite important for us to just remind ourselves that like, hey, we can have fun with our body. Our body is safe without constantly focusing on it all the time. Over the last month, I have started to hike again as well. I did quite a difficult hike, and although I am slower than I was, which is a given because I'm a bit deconditioned, I would say, and it's just slowly getting back to those movements has taken me some time. Rehab is going to be up and down. There's going to be weeks where you're like, man, I feel worse than I did a month ago. And I think it's important for us to recognize that there will be ups and downs in this whole rehab thing. You're going to have setbacks. Just know that it's going to be part of it. Listen to your body. I noticed that my feet started to hurt in the morning, and I was like, man, I'm getting plantar fasciitis. Like, there's just so many other things and aches and pains that I started to develop outside of my knee, and then my other knee started hurting more, and I'm like, okay, what's happening? So I think it's really important to test your limits and then see how you feel the next day. I found my physiotherapist extremely, extremely helpful because he's so good at looking at my technique and being like, hey, this side is different from this side. When you're lunging to the right, I noticed that your hip is moving to the right more than the other side. And we ideally want a level of symmetry between both our legs. If you have a non-injured and an injured leg. If you have 2 injured legs, that's going to be really tough, obviously, to know what is symmetry. And I know I'm compensating because I will go for a run or I'll do activity, and then I have like weird random pains on my injured leg in different spots, not my knees. So for example, I'll feel more soreness on my shins or on my hamstrings or my quads, or my calves compared to my other leg, which I don't really feel much. My second biggest fear is injuring my non-injured leg. And that is a common thing that happens to people who injure one leg. They tend to injure the other leg because you compensate with the other leg. And so my goal is to reduce the risk of that. And so rehab and physio is trying not to compensate, to focus on trusting that leg again. And I go to physio every 2 to 3 weeks still. It's a way to keep myself accountable, and I quite enjoy it. I always feel good after my physio sessions. Although I'm starting to feel the need to possibly get a strength and conditioning coach. I'm feeling a little bit lost in the gym, doing the same exercises again. I need more of like structure and program to my gym routine. I'm getting bored of it. So I might see a strength and conditioning coach just for some accountability and some motivation. Hold on. Okay, I need some water. Because at this point in my injury, I'm starting to feel a little bit less motivated, and I need to set new goals or new things for me to look forward to. See that there for now. Another thing I remind myself is like, it's important to slowly progress your load and the amount of times you exercise, and not go from like never exercising to 7 days a week unless it's very low impact movements. I think we have to really listen to our knee and slowly progress it in that low pain movements. It's normal to feel a little bit of pain, but you shouldn't overdo it. If you're feeling knee pain for several days after your exercises, I think that's too much. I think mild pain is okay, but ideally you shouldn't feel too much pain. I mean, pain is all subjective too, so I can't say personally, but that's how I'm doing it. My full extension and flexion movements are basically there, but the end ranges don't feel normal, is currently where I'm at. When I do full flexion, it is kind of painful at the final pushes at the end of that flexion, the full bend. And then when I do an extension, they look very similar, almost identical when I'm extending my leg straight. But when I flex my quads and really push down, there's just like something that feels different about my injured leg. There's almost how to explain it? It's like there's a shift. Like I feel kind of like it's not like a full clunk, but it's just so gently like it's not a lock either. I'm trying to explain how to feel it. And it doesn't happen all the time. There's something about that full extension range that's a little off and the full flexion range. But it is a huge improvement since 3 months ago. I do feel like my range of motion is almost back, and maybe it might just take some time. So I told you that I went hiking, and I do feel that as my body starts to fatigue after, 45 minutes or so of my hike, my injured knee does feel a little bit different. There's something about the joint that almost feels a little bit more loose, and it's probably because maybe my muscles aren't engaging because they're tired. I'm feeling more of the instability. As a result, my leg is just more sore on that side. Like I'm using more calf, I'm using other muscles to really compensate for that instability. I think this will take some time, but I do notice a difference between my injured and non-injured leg in terms of the amount of time and endurance that it can last. And maybe that's just going to take some time for me to continue to build that muscle and proprioception and neuromuscular feedback and all those things that you start to learn when you are going to ACL rehab. I feel like I'm a friggin' expert, but I'm not at all. I'm constantly learning new things. And so at this point in my injury, I've gotten really good at slow, controlled, strong movements. When it comes to single leg press on the machine, it is pretty identical. Most of the strength is pretty identical at this point, but being able to use the muscle in power moves is a different story. In the last few weeks, I've transitioned to more power strength, which means fast, quick jumps, lands, lunge jumps, just more of that fire, because my slow kind of twitch muscles are good. My leg is pretty strong and stable. And so now we're testing the fast movements. So jumping, lunges, squat jumps, jump lands. I can really feel the difference even in the single leg hop between my left and my right. Currently trying to retrain my body to basically be able to use more of that muscle that I have in my legs to get the power. And this is probably what I'll be focusing on in the next while. Jumping is a little scary, but the first time that my physio put me on the platform and asked me to just jump and then land, I 100% compensated with my left. I landed on my left side. that was like barely on my right. So we're working through that. By the way, I did go back to a little bit of jump roping. I used to do a lot of jump roping before my injury, and now that I can jump, I'm starting to slowly incorporate these movements back in. I have to say my cardio endurance is terrible. I used to be able to jump rope for probably 30-45 minutes and be pretty comfortable. I literally did jump roping for less than 10 minutes, and my gosh, I was sweating, I was exhausted. So we gotta work back up to that cardiovascular kind of endurance. Since my rehab has been so slow and controlled, I need to sweat more, get my heart rate, and really test and move my body. I've also noticed that I've just been more achy, slower to recover. I don't know if it's because I'm in my 30s now or if I'm just overdoing it with the rehab, but I recently started taking magnesium supplements again, which is something I used to take a lot of before. And I don't know what it is, but I actually feel less achy in the morning. I'll take some magnesium like 30 minutes before bed, and I wake up and I feel more refreshed. So who knows if it's placebo or not, but I do feel like my muscles are recovering faster by taking some of these supplements. I guess another thing I want to mention is that invisible disability is still there. No one will really understand what you are going through unless they've gone through it themselves. They might understand it more. People will forget that it's your knee. They're like, wait, was it your foot that was injured? Was it your ankle? Don't expect people to remember your injury. I'm very grateful for those friends who do remember my injury and are very considerate of it. Yeah, it's helpful to be part of groups and know people that are also injured. So shout out to, who you are, who have had many conversations with me around ACL. It's been a great support system to know that I'm not alone in going through this injury. Just to recap, currently I'm going back to sports. I'm playing mostly volleyball again. I'm comfortable with badminton, pickleball, all very casual, not going full out. I am running about 3 to 5 kilometers at a very slow pace, and then I'm doing some fast, slow jogs, which means I'll do like 1 minute fast, 1 minute slow, 1 minute fast, 1 minute slow. I'm going to the gym probably twice a week. I'm swimming once a week. I do rehab at home maybe 3 times a week. What else am I doing now? I like to stay active, although my days in general feel sedentary because I sit a lot for work. I still think of my knee when I wake up. And I don't know when that's going to go away. It's been 6 months, but I still think about my knee when I wake up. I still think about my leg and the stiffness that I experience when I'm like taking my first steps out of the bed. I don't remember thinking about my knee and my legs before my injury, so this is something that I'll keep you updated on. I would love to not think about my knee when I wake up, and I feel like there might have been a few days that I didn't, but yeah, overall I have. I think it's going to take a pause from rehab and just living my life for maybe 1 or 2 months without the rehab aspect to maybe not think about it. But when you're doing rehab constantly, it's on your brain. You wake up, you think about your legs. I don't have the answer to this, but this is just currently where I'm at right now. I'm still using ice occasionally for rehab days where I felt like, I pushed it a little bit. I'm feeling like my knee is a bit more achy than normal. I'll ice it for like 10 minutes and it feels better in the moment. I continue to use the massage gun, which I really like. Starting to incorporate a little bit more stretching and mobility. Initially, when I was doing rehab, my physio recommended that I didn't do too much static stretching because it can actually add inflammation, apparently. But now at this point in my injury, I'm starting to feel like, okay, I want to have more mobility, and I'm a pretty stiff person. I'm not that flexible, so I'm starting to work on that mobility. Currently, my life is still quite a lot rehab. I'm going to try to reduce the rehab type and focus just on other things in my life and my physical fitness that can keep things fun. I do feel that my balance is pretty good. I can stand on one leg for over a minute on each side. With my eyes closed, I could probably stand for 30 seconds on each leg. Balance was always something that I was good at even before my injury. So getting it back, I didn't feel like it was too difficult. Now it's more about testing those balance and ranges with power. I would say I feel about like 65% the way that I was before my injury. A lot of the rehab is like trying to get back to where things used to be, I guess. And a lot of it is mental, I have to say, like the psychological aspect and neurological aspect of your injury is probably the hardest hurdle. You just gotta slowly, in small increments, improve. Lifestyle changes are not easy. If you're the type of person that wasn't so active before your injury, that's probably gonna make it harder, and you can't go from barely exercising to exercising 7 days a week. I think it's important for us to make small incremental improvements that are sustainable. Another thing I forgot to mention is I did use hiking poles on my first hike back as a safety net because I just will last so much longer and be able to keep up with my friends with a hiking pole because it's literally like another set of legs. And I feel more safe, especially going downhill with the hiking poles. I will probably continue to use hiking poles for a while unless it's a fairly easy hike. But anything more than 400 meter in elevation and longer than like an hour or two, I'll probably still use hiking poles for now because I don't go hiking that often anyways. Yeah. I think I will continue to use hiking poles. I can't think of anything else right now to say. If you have any questions or want to hear any other updates from me in my next video, please leave a comment and let me know. These are just me rambling away, so hopefully it's kind of helpful. I think there are days where you just feel lonely in the process. You wish you never got injured. This is such a difficult thing to go through mentally, emotionally, and I wish my knee was what I had before, but it's not. And there is a part of grieving that's hard to explain when you just want things back and it's not the same. But you gotta just adjust to the new kind of normal and remember that your mindset is going to be the most important part of this all. You got to really find the balance of listening to your body, but also being able to push yourself a little bit more, thinking of this in the long-term aspect, and finding the support systems, the motivation, and the coaches, and everyone that kind of makes this injury easier to manage. Because as much as even I'm the type of person that wants to do everything alone, I'm so grateful for my support system and everyone that has been part of this journey with me, all the people I've gotten to meet because of the injury, people that I've gotten to reconnect with because of the injury, building new relationships because of the injury, whether it's with your surgeon, your physio, your kinesiologist, your personal trainer. I'm really grateful for that support system because I don't know what I would do without it. It just would be really hard. It's also been quite an emotional week for me. The last few weeks have been stressful mentally, and just there's lots of things happening in my life. But I'm here. I'm showed up, and I make this video. You can't compare yourself to anyone. And a lot of things I say here, maybe I'm just telling myself at this point, but do it for your future self. Don't do it for your ego. Don't do it to prove anything. Do it for your future self and caring for your future self and knowing that like future you is going to be so grateful that you put in this work and you're going to find such internal happiness from the work you put in. The videos that I see with ACL motivates me. I'm like, wow. These people are able to do this without an ACL, like that could be me. And that's the type of relationship I would want with everyone, that we are here to motivate each other and see what's possible, but not comparing yourself in a way that's going to bring you down because we all have different stories, we all have different bodies, we all have different goals. I think for me, success in this ACL rehab means that I will be able to do the activities that I love to do, go back to the activities that I want to do, and not do it because I want to prove myself, but because this is the lifestyle I want. I want to be able to play certain sports with my friends. Maybe I will decide to not do other sports for whatever reason, but as long as I can do the things I want in my life, then I think that's a success. For now, I am starting to build confidence in that, and at this point, I'm still going non-surgical. I think when I continue to test my ability and if there are barriers that I can't surpass, I might reconsider it. But you know what? I'm actually so grateful and impressed. The first 2 months, it was miserable. Man, I've never been in so much pain, sadness, grief, and the fact that I can hike, play volleyball, run, jog, jump now, like, it's only been 6 months in the grand scheme of things. That's not that long. And yes, I know there are people who are like running marathons by 4 months after an ACL tear. Again, we're not here to compare ourselves, and we don't know the full story. And I am really grateful that I am basically back to where things are. Oh, also to add, I am dancing now too. I'm dancing for a wedding party that I'm part of in October. And so going back to some hip hop movements, some jumps, and testing my body feels really good. Nothing is really setting me back besides, honestly, the mental aspect, my fear of re-injury. I have to say, I still have moments where I'm going for a walk and the memory of that injury just comes back into my mind. And I'll have these negative thoughts of like, oh my God, if I do this, what if this happens during volleyball and then I twist my knee? Or remembering that incident from the floor hockey game I was playing comes back every so often. And I'm like, oh, you have that like, oh, ouch moment. I think the mental part is going to be the hardest part for me. How can I just like be okay with that memory and not let it impact my fear of re-injury? So yeah, that's something I'll have to work on. But for now, that's all I have. Thanks so much if you made it to the end of this video. You are a true one here. Like seriously. Hope you're doing well and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.